Google Analytics and advertising on InsureMeKevin.com, my website. Hi, I'm Kevin Knaus with InsureMeKevin.com, and I recently did a video and blog post about how some of the mobile phone apps they go through and they collect a bunch of your data to develop a digital profile for you to then serve you ads, online advertising later on. And, after I did that, I'm thinking, I run a website and there are ads on my website. There's probably people that want to know what I know about them. I don't know much. So on my website that I manage and maintain, there are two pieces of code that fire off when someone visits the website. The first one is for Google Analytics, and the next is for Google Adsense, the online advertising. But let's first talk about Google Analytics and what I can see, because when that tag is fired, Google gets some of the information from the visitor, and then I can see some of that information. I do not put cookies from my website onto your website. And you've been to websites where you've seen a little banner across the bottom, we use cookies, please accept, dances. I don't do that because I really don't want your information. I don't want that. That's just none of my business, okay? And what I can see in Google Analytics is actually good enough for me. This is a snapshot for the month of July 2022, and it's just showing me through the Google Analytics, my visitors kind of on a daily basis throughout the month. And you can kind of see it kind of goes up and down. Most people visit websites, or at least mine, Monday and Tuesday, and then it starts to trail off, and then it spikes back up again. So, kind of interesting. The next screen that is kind of interesting that I look at from time to time are the referrals to my website. How do people find me? In looking at this, organic search is by far the largest. And organic search is when you open up your browser, Safari, Google, Bing, and you type in a question. Maybe it's about health insurance, maybe it's about history, a lot of history content on my website. And one of my posts or my pages will come up in the search, and people, and they click on it, and it brings them to my website. That's an organic search. So it's just telling me that, I'm not getting that much from direct. These are mainly new users. In terms of where the visitors live, I can see by country, because Google knows where the IPA address is located. So obviously the bulk of them for the United States, because my content revolves around the United States and California health insurance and history. I can drill down to cities. And we can see there the top city of visitors in California is Los Angeles, which kind of makes sense because Los Angeles is huge. The next two cities are in the Bay Area. Again, a lot of people down there, and there's a lot of people looking for answers. So that's where most of my visitors are coming from, and it just alerts me. Make sure your content, speaks to those people in those areas of Los Angeles and the Bay Area. This particular Google Analytics information is about the browsers, which, since I'm not really writing code, I don't really care about, but we can see that most of the people are using Google Chrome, Safari, Edge, and then Firefox. The next one, the device, is interesting because we have seen a shift over the last several years where it was primarily all desktop, in the early 2012, 2013. Mobile is more and more of the people that are coming to visit the site, which means you need to have a website, at least for me, that is mobile friendly, that will display properly when people are scrolling on their phones or a tablet. The next screen that is actually probably one of the most interesting and what I look at on a daily basis are the top 10 posts that are viewed. And for the month of July, we can see the number one was about Medi-Cal. And then, people kind of visit my website to see who I am. But then there's Covered California is number 3. Medi-Cal comes in at number 4. Another Medi-Cal post at number 5. Number 6, Medi-Cal. So you can see the trend that's going on here. There's a lot of people in California looking for information about Medi-Cal. And that, that tells me, put out good content that helps people. Now, I do not make anything when I assist someone to become eligible for Medi-Cal through Covered California. I don't make a dime. But it's the right thing to do because I want my neighbors to have coverage in case there's an accident or an illness. So there's about 12 million people in Medi-Cal and only 1.5 million people in Covered California. So that's obviously a much larger market. And that's kind of what Google Analytics tells me. I don't know a lot about the people, kind of generally where they're coming from, but most important to me is what is popular, what is delivering information to them by the posts that they're viewing. This next screenshot is by Cloudflare, and they kind of deliver my content. And this became a problem early on, is I have some really large documents on my website, and a lot of them. There's evidence of coverage documents, summary of benefits documents, all kinds of different stuff. Then there's historical stuff, big maps, and people were downloading that, and when you are on a shared server, sometimes it starts to get really crowded, and then your website doesn't work because it's being served. So I had to go to a dedicated server, primarily because, as you can see, in that month, between July 27th and August 26th, 68 gigabytes of data was delivered from my website. Now, part of that are just the images and the text that you see in a blog post, but people are downloading a lot of files. And so I had to have a dedicated server to handle that traffic. So my overall website expenses shot up because I have a dedicated server. And here we can see for the year, the dedicated server cost about $1,200 out of my pocket. I then pay for other, what they call plugins for the website. So I use WordPress for security features. That's about $300. There's some other plugins that deal with handling the media in the files and the theme to stabilize it. That's another $500. So the total annual cost to keep InsureMeKevin going is at a minimum $2,000. Now that second bit of code that I have on my website is for Google AdSense. And when someone visits the site, that tag also fires, and there is this instantaneous auction. It goes out to the people that want to advertise, and it says, someone's coming to this health insurance site. Do you want to advertise? And how much will you, they're auctioning off a little slot. And I have no control over what is being advertised. That happens between Google, who knows what's on my site and that it's health insurance related, and potentially if they know about that digital profile that we talked about earlier, that may influence also what is delivered. But I have no say in what is being delivered. When I have looked at my site, there are, obviously, health insurance plans like Blue Shield, Covered California advertises. Other agents advertise. And so if someone clicks on one of those or sees it, so sometimes I make like 25 cents or 50 cents. Not a whole lot, but that's just the way it is. And I'm kind of okay with that because actually, my website just isn't California. It's, worldwide, but, within the United States. And so if someone in Texas is viewing my website to learn something about Medicare and there's an ad for an agent near them or a carrier and they want to click on that and it helps them out, fine. I have no problem with that. Or even if someone goes direct with a carrier and cuts me out of it, that's just the way life is. The overall advertising revenue, generally for a year, is about $2,700. So when I figure my hard costs of developing, maintaining the website, and the time I have to put into it, it's pretty much a break-even proposition, And, that's just the way it is, because my website is my main marketing. People read what I have written, and if they like me, they'll call me. But I kind of wanted to give you an overview of what goes into a website, the statistics I can see through Google Analytics, which is very limited. And actually what I focus on is what people are reading. And then that helps me develop content in the future. So if you have any questions or comments, you can leave comments down below. You can also go to my website, InsureMeKevin.com, and go to my contact page and reach out to me that way. So for InsureMeKevin.com, I am Kevin Knaus.